What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. We're in a key spot right now for Bitcoin. I'm going to break it down across the time frames for you. We can see here on the daily chart, of course, a key resistance level that we've been predicting and looking forward to for the last few days. In the last couple of videos, I've been talking about this relief rally that was likely to happen for Bitcoin, and there we have it now. We can see it all over the charts. We're at a key resistance level now with some potential room to the upside still, and that's exactly what we need to identify. Not only that, I'm going to go through different charts today as well. Look at the Bitcoin CME chart, a new gap has formed there, and then of course the Bitcoin dominance chart as well, where Bitcoin dominance is in a key spot on the smaller time frames right at support, and on the larger time frames right at resistance. So guys, a lot of stuff to cover today. Hope you're having an awesome start to your week so far and that it continues that way. If you're new to the channel, nice to have you here. Warm welcome. Let me know who you are down in the comments. And yeah guys, sit back, relax, grab a beverage of your choice and enjoy the analysis. We're going to kick things off on the smaller time frame for Bitcoin. Let's start out on the 2-hourly chart, the smallest time frame for today, and see exactly what happened there since my last video yesterday. So yesterday we were talking about we were right in this area right here, and this is where I told you guys that we're looking for a breakout out of this orange box here. You can see previous very strong resistance, the exact spot that was holding us back here from putting in another high here in this lower high, higher high structure that we see on the smaller time frames. And of course, as soon as we broke out from there, we got a retest of that area and then continued up here to challenge the current high, which on the small time frame is our obvious target. So a key area here also for profit taking right around 87,000, right? Actually already put in a higher high here, and we're now looking to confirm a break above there now by confirming another bullish candle on a closing basis above there. That then of course would give us an indication of continuation towards here the 89k level. That becomes really decisive then on the larger time frames as well. So this was the key chart here that we were looking at yesterday, the 2-hourly chart and the 4-hourly chart, where we on both see now that we're right at this level here. I hope you got some out of this, and if you were watching my videos, you knew exactly where the breakout spot was, right down here in this box here as well, visible on the 4-hourly chart. A really nice spot to enter a long position and then to aim for the tops, and of course also with another profit taking level here right in the 89k range. 89,300 is the number that I'm looking at, and here it was 87,300 as well from this perspective here, from this previous high perspective, right? So these are some really clear profit taking spots. Of course, if we continue here now, pick up more demand, then 89k becomes decisive here, as we will see now on the daily chart. You can see here, of course, this massive downtrend forming since the all-time high of 109k, and there the downsloping resistance of that trend comes into play, as well as this horizontal level here that has been extremely strong support from where we bounced to multiple all-time highs here, from where we picked up massive demand every time to put in the 108k top and also the 109k top, as well as many other rallies within that range. So that previous strong support demand area, right, of course likely to turn into resistance now. Then if you look at the top of that box right here, 92k, that is the exact line in the sand for the long term here. That is the closing low of that range. And of course, if we can reclaim that as support and a strong indication that we put in our low and that we're challenging the heights again. But the likelihood still is here that we go up here, test this resistance, and that we come back down there then, and then it becomes decisive. Can we stay above the 200-day SMA here as well? As you can see on March 20th or March 19th, we broke above it. That of course came following the announcement of Jerome Powell about the rate hikes. One other event that I've been preparing you guys for here on YouTube, but also over on X. I've been talking a lot about it. And then of course we got a massive rally after it was confirmed that there will be no rate hikes, that the rates will continue the same way at the 4.5% level. And then of course there was not massive bullish news. We found a rejection, fell back down here to our support level and back down below the 200-day SMA. So here really bullish from a daily perspective. If we now can close above the previous high here, above 87,000, almost on the spot, and then of course also confirm that we're staying above the 200-day SMA therefore. Now, while we're on the daily, let's go over to the CME chart and look at this new gap here that formed. You can see a lot of people make the mistake here and identify these gaps incorrectly by looking at the wicks. But of course, we're looking at the gap from a perspective where the market closed on Friday and then reopened on Monday. That's where the gap is at. And therefore, here we have the closing price. As this is a bearish candle, then we of course need to look at the bottom side of the body. And there we see it's right at just below 84k at 83,950. And then the market opened again here at 85,130. And then if we look at the regular Bitcoin chart, then we can see that that area here is right in line with the 200-day SMA and the previous support level here that we've lost and that turned into resistance, a key level to hold here then. So that lines up perfectly with the gap, the 200-day SMA, and the support level here. Really, really nice confluence there. And then, of course, on the smaller time frames, we can identify that way earlier already by looking at the trend here. So here locally, we are, of course, in a massive uptrend on the 4-hourly chart as well. I told you guys about the trend line as well and why it is so important to prioritize a horizontal lines, right? If you look at this trend line here, okay, we can see that we can draw it from the bodies, for example, and then it becomes a little bit more generous. But then it's really, really important to see as well that we can't just rely on a diagonal line, that we always need to consider horizontals as they come from previous strong support and resistance levels. Like in this case, they turned into strong resistance on the way up, and therefore we expect them to be strong support on the way down again. We can see the really strong resistance coming in on the daily chart in the 89K area. Here lines up perfect as well with the resistance of the uptrend here. You can see this line here that's been holding us down basically every time we reached it, and there you can see it's right in the same neighborhood in the 89,300 area, right? So everything lining up perfectly here across the board, and these are the exact levels that you need to look out for. And if you want to get an early confirmation here, and then you might want to look at the 2-hour chart. There's already a close above the previous high, and if that continues upwards here, then of course it closes simultaneously with the 4-hourly chart as well, and then we have really strong indication that the trend continues upwards here towards 89K. And then here, of course, the Fibonacci retracement, you gotta adjust it every now and then here as the trend continues upwards. Of course, the peak keeps moving and you just keep pulling it up, and if we start breaking down, then you know exactly which are the levels to look out for here. You can see really nice alignment with a 38.2 here from a key previous support and resistance level, as well as the 61.8 here. Really nice area for Bitcoin to find a bounce in case we start consolidating now. But if we start closing above here now and also confirm with a 4-hourly candle, then I'm really, really inclined to think that the trend here continues upwards towards the 89K area. Right, guys, that's it here basically for the price action for Bitcoin today. I want to cover the Bitcoin dominance chart quickly as well. As I told you, I already brought out a video here on X yesterday. I spoke about Bitcoin dominance across the timeframes, from the smaller timeframes all the way up to the monthly chart, breaking down why I believe that the trend is still very strongly intact and that it's unlikely that we start breaking down from the current level. And of course that can be the case, but there's no real indication for it yet, and I'll go through it once again here with you guys. So here you have it now, Bitcoin dominance. This was the breakout that we saw yesterday, right? We had this candle here, and there we were waiting for confirmation basically on the 4-hourly chart to break the previous highs here, which we then did. And now we reached our top here actually and are consolidating now. We see the retracement here going from the swing low to the swing high. And there we see that Bitcoin is trying to hold the 61.8 with the previous strong support and resistance area here from the range. Ideally here, the most bullish scenario from Bitcoin dominance perspective would have been a test here of the 38.2, which lines up perfectly with the previous highs of the downtrend, and therefore then a really, really bullish spot to consolidate. But of course, the weaker the trend, usually the deeper the consolidation, and therefore we can expect a move here to the 61.8. If we start breaking down here, then we need to look at a 78.6 here, which lines up perfectly with the previous resistance of this downtrend, and then could give us a potential retest and bounce here. Of course, if that doesn't hold, then the likelihood is here that we come back down to test the lows, which then really become interesting on the larger time frames. But still now, from a bullish perspective, if we look over on the daily chart, we can see here that we bounced in a really, really important spot. Of course, this was a massive uptrend here, forming since December last year, and there we just reached the exact trend line where we broke out of this local downtrend here with this candle, and now we're coming back down to the support level. So ideally we want to hold here again and continue upwards, challenge the 62.25 level that we just saw here, marks the top of this downtrend on the smaller time frame that we just saw here as well, and then would drift over into the weekly chart here with a continuation, and that of course then all drifts over into the monthly chart, or in the trend that we can easily see here on the monthly chart, that is still very much intact. A lot of people talking about Bitcoin reversing. I mean, I've been hearing this since early last year already, where some people have been drawing trend lines from up here, connecting this top here, and then saying at this point here that Bitcoin topped out and are we going into an alt season. But of course, drawing this trend line here makes zero sense, since this market up here has basically nothing to do with this market down here. This was Bitcoin, the beginning stages of altcoins, right? And there you can see we've been always trending between 100% and 97% for Bitcoin, and therefore no real alt market around yet, and no real reason to compare this to anything that's happening after 2017, when really the altcoin market was established, right? And there you can see that we always reach the 72 to 74% range. And even if you look at it from a trend line perspective, I've seen people on the weekly chart, drawing the trend line down here and marking these out as wicks. But if you look at the monthly chart, the body closes are just as high as the previous ones, and the wick actually came higher in the 2021 cycle than it did in 2019 and in 2017. So even though there's more altcoins in circulation, Bitcoin dominance continued to go up. And here we can see the trend is your friend, guys, until the end, and it's very strong, intact as well. In fact, we're consolidating here above the previous highs as well. And if you look at it on a weekly closing basis, then you can see here that this entire range that's been forming basically since Bitcoin's been chilling since the beginning of the year, it's been consolidating above the previous range highs here as well. So from every perspective on every time frame, in the larger time frames, it still looks very bullish and it still points towards continuation of the trend, right? But if you go into the smaller time frames, of course, as we saw here on the daily chart, there's key support. If this starts breaking down here, then that will of course drift over into the larger time frames, and then it's time to start considering the trend to break on the larger time frames, and that there's potential for Bitcoin dominance to drop and for altcoins really to take over, and Bitcoin also to continue rallying very strongly, as it always has been the case once the top has been reached for Bitcoin dominance. Right, guys, I think I have it all covered across the timeframes and across the charts, and you know exactly where the confirmation levels and the important areas lay for Bitcoin, Bitcoin dominance, and also the CME chart. And yeah, guys, hope you have an awesome start to the week. If you're new to the channel here, warm welcome, nice to have you here. Would be awesome if you subscribe as well. A lot of my viewers are still not subscribed to the channel. Of course, we had some nice growth since I started posting videos, went from 70 followers to almost 1800 now, and I really appreciate every single one of you guys. Now it's time that we start talking to each other a little bit, so why don't you drop me a comment, let me know what you like on the channel, what else you would like to see, potentially other assets or other charts that I can break down for you. And yeah, guys, get more active. If you're new to the channel, of course, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and yeah, drop me a like or a comment, and that would be really, really nice. As you know, all my content, everything I offer is free. And that's all I'm asking from you guys. I'm out of here now. Gonna hit the gym after a few days off. I've been recovering an elbow injury and I'm looking to crush it. Hope you guys do the same. And as always, happy trading and see you soon.